What's up? What's going on, y'all? Straight to the point. Uh, hit the like, and if you are new, sub to the channel too as well, man. Um, I went live a little bit earlier, and I was talking about Kawhi. I was talking about Kawhi. I was talking about the Lakers, but now um, I'm shifting the focus and talking about some other Western Conference team. Like this Western Conference, man, is really going to be competitive this season. Okay, it's really going to be competitive this season, as it is pretty much all seasons. I mean, the Western Conference has um, always been competitive, but when you got OKC and everybody's gunning for OKC, everybody trying to mirror what OKC is doing, then it's, of course, that competition going to get real, real stiff out west. But the Golden State Warriors, um, if I'm not mistaken, I think the Golden State Warriors are 5-1. If I'm not mistaken, 4-1. Yep, Game 7, man. Yeah, salute to you, Cheyenne. Yeah, Game 7. But you know what I'm saying, we talking about hoops. I'm not talking about the World Series. I I haven't focused on the World Series simply because when we win, when the Dodgers win, I'm gonna come on here and I'm gonna talk about it because I'm gonna tell you something that I thought was gonna happen. I really thought that Cheyenne, that we were gonna be more challenged by the Brewers more so than the Blue Jays. You know what I'm saying? I guess I thought the Brewers had more. I guess the Brewers I thought was a better team than the Blue Jays. But anyways, uh, let me talk about Jimmy Butler and let me talk about Jonathan Kuminga. Jonathan Kuminga right now is averaging a career high in all statistical categories. I think he's averaging 17.3, if I'm not mistaken, to go along with I think about maybe seven rebounds and then like 6 or 7 assists, something like that. But I did see the point total. Um, and then you got Jimmy Butler. Uh, we all know that Jimmy Butler, he came over there from the Miami Heat. A lot of people were questioning Jimmy Butler and seeing if Jimmy Butler was going to be a good fit for the Warriors. Well, they they look like they're establishing chemistry over there now. It took a little bit of time, to get acclimated and stuff. It's not that they didn't even start off bad when Jimmy had first came either. It took you could see that Jimmy was a good fit automatically. But I think that Jimmy Butler and Jonathan Kuminga feed off of each other real good because and they play together real good. And they got good chemistry, man, because they kind of play similar styles. You know what I'm saying? With the exception, I think that Kuminga is a little bit more athletic. You know what I'm saying? But Kuminga doesn't get credit for the defense that he plays. Jonathan Kuminga is a hawk on defense, man. That's one of the things that I liked about Jonathan Kuminga. And then, of course, Jimmy Butler is too. Um, can the Warriors can they make that next leap? That's what we got to ask ourselves. Can they make that next leap? A lot of people would have said that Jimmy Butler and Buddy Hield were the ones that they kind of went good together in terms of their chemistry. But I think it's a combination of Jimmy Butler and Jonathan Kuminga. Of course, you got Steph in the deal. You got Draymond. They're starting to gel right now, and I definitely ain't going to sleep on the Warriors at all. Definitely not going to sleep on them at all. Um, I think it just took a minute for Jimmy Butler to adapt. Some people were saying, "Oh, it's not going to work. Um, he gonna come in there. He gonna try to bum rush, Steph, and he gonna get into it with Draymond and all this other stuff." But he's been he's been the polar opposite, and not only has he been the opposite of that, like dare I say a model citizen. You know what I'm saying? A model citizen. This dude Jimmy Butler has been putting up some good numbers too. I think he's averaging 21.3 points per game. I think he averaging like 6, 7 rebounds, something like that. But you gotta like what Jimmy Butler is bringing to the table. You know what I'm saying? I've always liked what Jimmy Butler is bringing to the table. Now, another thing is how they gonna pan out once the playoffs come, and can they stay healthy? We know that Jimmy Butler has had little knick-knack, injuries there. He's had some major injuries too as well. He's known for playing through injuries and stuff like that. Is that going to play a big factor? And if they don't have Steph, let's say they don't have Steph, can Kuminga, a combination of Kuminga, a combination of Butler, and a combination of, even like Draymond and Buddy Hill and some of the other young guys that are on there, can they step up? Because that's the biggest thing. I like to see when the main player, when they go out, if those other guys could step up. Because now you're seeing a lot of that. I've seen a lot of that since this NBA season has started. You know, like I think about the situation that's going on with Luka and the situation that's going on with Austin Reeves. I think about that situation. You know what I'm saying? They could have just been like, you know what? Nah, we might as well just go ahead and hang it up and just gave up. They didn't do that. They didn't do that. So my thing is, can they step up when Steph is out? Steph is a big part of the team, but they have enough talent. They act like Jimmy Butler hasn't carried a team before, and now can he carry the team like he did in Miami? That remains to be seen. Jimmy Butler is still young. He's not as young as Jonathan Kuminga, but he's still young enough to get it done. Uh, but he is a little bit older. You know what I'm saying? But I think he's young enough to sustain a couple games just in case Steph Curry happens to go out, because that's the only one that I look for. With Draymond, I mean he's an integral part, you know what I'm saying, but he's not as big of a loss as Steph is. You know what I'm saying? And that's what I look at. I look at is if Steph Curry goes out, you know what I'm saying, will they be able to step up? That's when the real test is gonna come. Because that's what people want to know. So I think that Jonathan Kuminga and Jimmy Butler can hold the fort down while Steph Curry is not there. Hold on one second, y'all. Getting kind of hot in here. Kind of hot in here. Huh? You want some more? Go ahead, get it. My bad, y'all. All right. So that's gonna be the biggest thing, man. Can they step up while they gone? Uh, Jimmy Butler has been in that position before. He's been in that position lots of times before. Jimmy Butler has had a combination of both, where he's been hurt and he's missing players too at the same time. So uh, that's the thing that we got to look at. Then I want to talk about Ja Morant for a sec, man. Like now, shout out to both Ticket and Tura. I seen them talking about this on their channels, man. This situation that's going on with John Morant. A lot of people have said that it's time for John Morant to go ahead and leave Memphis. You know, a lot of people feel like Ja doesn't want to be there no more, and you see him being disengaged. You know what I'm saying? He seems kind of lackadaisical. He's not giving the full effort. Like for instance, last night when they played against the Lakers, you know what I'm saying, you could clearly see in his body language that he doesn't want to be there no more. And on top of that, he's getting into it with the coaches and stuff like that. Um, I don't know what's going on with Ja Morant, but I like Ja, but at the same time, Ja at this point of his career, man, you can't afford to be doing stuff like this because you're gonna wind up going to another team. Okay, you're not counting your blessing first and foremost. You know what I'm saying? You should be blessed with the fact that people still got faith in you. Okay, and this is coming from a Ja Morant fan. I know that he's been bumping heads with Kendrick Perkins right now. I know that, but you should be happy that this team even wants you because let's just call it what it is, man. You stay hurt, man. You stay hurt because of the style that you play. You of course you had a little incident that happened. That happens. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I felt like it was a little bit of a harsh punishment, but that's neither here nor there. But nevertheless, you've been missing a lot of time. And a lot of people they're at the point now where are you gonna be on the court? Are you gonna lead? That's what they drafted you for, man. That's what they drafted you for. I know that okay, as far as the coaching and the personnel stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? You might not want it, but you are the superstar. Y'all have to have a talk. And if you don't want to be there no more, man, just go ahead and demand that you get up out of there. You know what I'm saying? You have the right to do that. Now, where would he be a good fit at? That's the question. Where would Ja be a good fit at? Where would Ja Morant be a good fit at? That's what we gotta ask ourselves. That's what we gotta we gotta look at. I was looking at I was looking at New Orleans. A combination of him and Zion. I look at the way that those two they go at it, their competitiveness, and for Ja, he's got the talent. You know what I'm saying? It's like I said, it's a matter of him staying healthy. Uh, but I can't see Ja Morant in another uniform though. Like it would look so weird to me because you accustomed to seeing him in Memphis. He's fell in love with Memphis. Memphis has fell in love with him. So that's what that's what we got to ask ourselves. You know what I'm saying? Like where would he be a good fit at? Now I was looking at New Orleans. I was looking at Atlanta, but at the same time, do you want to put him in a losing situation? You know what I'm saying? Do you want to go even worse? I mean, not that because I think what's their record right now? I think they're at 500, if I'm not mistaken. I think the Memphis Grizzlies are at 500. But I'm looking at it from a standpoint, okay, if you're not happy there, then go ahead and go because his energy is contagious, man. That energy that you have, you know what I'm saying, it's contagious. You know what I'm saying? Everybody feeds off of that because you are the leader. You know what I'm saying? And Ja, make no mistake about it, he has all the tools necessary to be a leader, but at the same time, he can lead the wrong way. Um, but I just hope that Ja, man, he gets in a good situation. If it's in Memphis, okay, you need to make the best of it. You know, get out get out whatever's in your head. Talk to those people that are in there. If you got to talk to the personnel, talk to them. If you got to talk to, the coaches, if y'all got to have a scream and shout meeting, you know what I'm saying? Throw some things and while y'all in the locker room or something like that, get it all out, you know what I'm saying? Have that meeting. Or if you feel like this isn't going to work, go ahead, make your move and go ahead and get up out of there. Go ahead and get up out of there. We know what you bring to the table. We know what you bring to the table talent wise. But the question is, are you gonna be able to stay on the court? Are you gonna be able to have a good attitude? You know what I'm saying? And that's what a lot of them want to see. So that's all I really wanted to talk about, man. Hopefully, Ja figured it out. I do want him to be in a good situation, but he has to make the best of the situation that he's in. It can't be, oh yeah, they not doing nothing for me and all this other stuff. Now like I said, I haven't heard anything, but I'm definitely gonna be doing some more digging deep into the situation. So, like, share, subscribe, hit the notifications too. Straight to the point, sports and entertainment. I'll get at you later.